we're probably going to dedicate some time now to get some reflections and comments. I see we've got Dr. Thabo, Florian, and Teboho on the line. So I guess it might be worth, just before we get some closing and parting reflections from Ioan and from Mpho, we'll get some reflections from on the line. Dr. Thabo had indicated that he was driving earlier, so I don't know if he's going to be able to contribute. Dr. Thabo, let's start off with you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yes, I am driving, but I've managed to follow everything quite nicely. I think my starting point here is that I totally believe in the concept of blue ocean strategy. And how we even got to that was when we started our new startup a couple of years ago, which is called Tafari Capital. The question was, what is it that we are trying to solve? What was the problem that we are trying to solve? And one of the key things that we identified was what Mpho has ably identified as non-customers of banks, so to speak. Who are the people that require financial inclusion or financial services but are currently not catered for by the current banks for whatever reason? And we felt that it's part of the key reasons why our economy is actually where it is, because a large part of people that are active and that are able-bodied are pretty much excluded, other than being unemployed. But even those that are there, they don't have the ability to access resources that will enable them to grow their businesses or to grow their livelihoods. Because they can't access credit, they can't access, they live in places that are redlined. And so we sat down and we identified what are the issues that affect at a global level in South Africa, but also to say individually, what is it that we could do? And then when we identified, this idea of non-customers of banks is something that needs to be dealt with. We then went back to say, how do we do that? Because we cannot then compete with banks in the area of competence or their area of strength. Okay, so we had to then sit back and say, what are the things that we need to do to enable us to be able to offer a particular service in that market that banks will find it very difficult to compete with, because we are taking them out of their comfort zone, which is quite important, but also to look at what other neighboring industries can we borrow ideas and concepts from and infuse into our concept, that we totally make it very, nobody will think of it as purely a financial services play, but he thinks of it as something that we don't know what it is, so maybe we might as well leave it alone, to the extent that it actually gives us enough time and strength to be able to get ourselves into market and absorb what needs to be done. And also, we started looking into a number of where I know we sat down in a strategic concept, and I said to guys, listen, this concept of blue ocean strategy is perfect for an organization like ours. First of all, what are our weaknesses? We don't have a huge balance sheet. We don't have a huge name. We don't have a huge distribution. We don't have a presence in the market. We've got none of this stuff. But we believe that as Mpho was saying, there's abundance of opportunity that is currently not being looked at by the current banks. So how are we going to be able to offer financial services to our people, particularly those that are ignored, the SMEs, the micro entrepreneurs, the individuals who mainly deal in cash, and they don't have credit cards, they don't have all sorts of cards, people who don't want to pay fees to banks because they think it's expensive. After all, it's their money. Why should they pay for leaving it in these particular institutions? So we started looking at those things, and we said the only way we can do this is to structure ourselves in such a way that, first of all, what is it that we can improve upon that is in existence? What is it that in existence we don't need, we can get rid of? So one of those things was we don't need branches, right? We don't need to set up branches because for us to be able to offer a solution that we want to offer, there's no need for that. So we decided that our solution is going to be a digital finance solution that is cloud-based, that can be reached on people's on digital devices, and also we then integrated it with something which is called a marketplace, because we felt that to also address another problem, that most black people don't trade with each other. They don't rotate money within their own localities. So if we then look at the financial services, but at the same time integrate that with the marketplace, we'll be able to enable people to be able to sell to each other, to have market access, which currently they don't have, because a lot of SMEs have got products, they've got services, but they don't have markets. So how do you offer that? Mainly because online, for them to build an app is expensive. For them to build a transactional website is also expensive, and it requires some technical know-how. So by offering those kinds of services, we were enabling the SMEs suddenly to have access to markets very quickly at very little cost, and with no impact on them initially on starting their businesses. And also, things like banking fees. We decided whoever is going to have a Tafari account will not have to pay any fees. These are some of the things that, by looking at the framework of the Blue Ocean strategy, what is it that you can improve upon? What is it that you can do better than the other part? What is it that you can delete or throw away? What is it that you can reduce and you don't do as well as much of it as the others are doing, but you still offer it, so that you are able to offer a very unique and affordable service. And lastly, we felt that this particular solution without compromising on issues of quality and price. So it wasn't, we had to break down what we call the compromise between quality and price.
And I guess that's a critical part.
It doesn't necessarily mean that if I give you a very good solution, it has to be at an expensive price. You can offer somebody something very good, but you can offer it at an affordable price because you have put together an underlying framework that allows you to be able to offer this kind of solution at a price that your people can afford. So this is the kind of thinking that went into the design and the philosophy behind what Tafari Capital stands for. To an extent that you may see certain people that may look like doing what we are doing, but because the underpin of their environment is not necessarily in the same way as ours, they may find it very difficult to sustain in those kinds of initiatives, because their cost is also very high, and yet they are trying to put across a low cost but a low priced but quality service. It's not sustainable under those environments. So we had to try and deal with those kind of things. So in a nutshell, I think for us and for where we come from, we had to fundamentally think not only in terms of product or service, but strategic intent as to how to approach this. We needed to create a new market. We needed to take people that are currently not customers of existing players, to convert those into customers. And maybe, who knows, even existing customers can become our customer when they begin to see the kind of value that we'll be offering to the market.
Sure.
So I know I said a mouthful, but
no, I think Dr. Thabo, some of the remarks you make are very helpful.
To follow all of it.
Yes, no, we're able to follow. I think the remarks you're making are very helpful, because what they do is that they give us a real world example of this framework and how it's been applied to a uniquely South African problem, if I can put it that way. I mean, I think financial inclusion is a global challenge, but I think there are unique specificities in the South African context that your model there, Tafari Capital, has been able to respond to.